Welcome to our final episode of our Azamara Quest Australian Adventure. In this episode, we show you exactly what it's like to spend New Year's Eve in Sydney on a cruise ship. We also give you some ideas of what you can get up to if you've got 3 days to spend in this beautiful city.
Right then.
Good day.
So come with us.
See what I did there?
Oh dear.
Oh, just remember we've been in Australia for about 2 weeks, haven't we?
What are you going on about?
I said good day.
I know you did.
Okay, go on then.
Anyway, come with us as we take you on one of the best sailings we've ever done, Paulie, wasn't it? It was absolutely fabulous.
I'd love your comments below. I think that's the right thing.
Yes.
We think this has got to be the most iconic sailing in the world.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? If you disagree, tell us what you think is the most iconic
Where
sailing
should we go into next?
Well, I don't know if we're going to go into it next. No,
No.
I don't want to open up that can of worms. All I want is a nice healthy debate. But we've done a few sailings, and this was just like, I got up at 6 o'clock this morning. Yes, you heard it, me, 6 o'clock this morning, and I have to say, I didn't regret a single second.
No, it was brilliant.
It was blooming marvellous.
Yeah. So here we are. This is sailing into Sydney. Right then, we're up. Tried to pull it out of bed. It's now 6:30, so we're going to head back on the deck because we can see a little bit of land. Oh, what's happening here? I can hear something. Ah, the pilot's getting on. And as you can see, they're on the bridge there. Probably gets his head out of the way. And we can see land. Woo! Little rope ladder. Here he comes. He's on. Fabulous. I don't know if you can see, but look. He's on, and there's Sydney. That's where we're going. Woo! So let's get upstairs. Excited we can see land, Paulie. Yes! All excited?
Yeah! Sadly, the drizzle came, but it cleared up just in time for us to see the iconic landmarks of Sydney Harbour. There are two places cruise ships can dock in Sydney. One is in Circular Quay right next to the Harbour Bridge, and the other is in White Bay. But because of the New Year's Eve celebrations, we were docked in White Bay. This aerial photo, courtesy of one of our subscribers, Brad Reeves, gives you an idea of where we were docked. We had the pleasure of meeting Brad in Melbourne, where we had a meet-up with some YouTube members, subscribers and Patreons. Make sure you're subscribed, as we've got a video all about what we got up to in Melbourne coming soon.
Right then, so our first day in Sydney, and we've been on a panorama tour, which we always like to do just to get our bearings, don't we?
Yeah.
It was hard to get near the Opera House, etc., because they're setting up for New Year's Eve celebrations. We managed to get fairly close, but it was already getting packed and full of people, wasn't it?
We got there, bearing in mind the first lot of fireworks is at 9 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
We got there around about 11 o'clock this morning.
Just before that.
And there's people camped out, they got blankets on the ground, they got picnics.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily it was a bit drizzly this morning, but the sun had come out. But, for them, I suppose they don't want it too hot, do they?
No,
But yeah, I mean, it's just like a major... We've never been to the fireworks in London to know how the logistics of that. I know that even when we went up to watch the London Marathon, it was pretty full on. And this is just like... The trouble is, for iconic building spotting... There was about 7,000 people sat on the steps of the Opera House. Yes.
Which we knew we were coming here in New Year, so it wasn't going to be easy to get to the main attractions. But we've still got 2 days left. It was a bus tour, and it took us through a few of the districts in Sydney. Took us out to Bondi Beach, which we didn't. We were on the wrong side of the blimmin' coach, weren't we? So we couldn't really see. But we're planning to do a lot more of the next couple of days. As you can see, it's white night, and it's 5 o'clock. Well, 5:30. White night starts at 6 with the fabulous food and entertainment. And we're a bit disappointed in one thing. We're in White Bay. The cruise ships aren't allowed to dock right in the Circular Quay, which they normally do in Sydney, which was a bit disappointing, but I understand that because obviously you're so close to the bridge and you'd be blocking the view for a lot of people. But when we docked up, I thought, oh, that's great. We can just see the Harbour Bridge. But look, someone else has turned up. Come on, Annie, show them. So we're not, you can't see the Harbour Bridge as well, but we're hoping at the top.
Well, if I just tell you that somebody's got here and put their towel over the Harbour Bridge, you'll know what what country this cruise line comes from.
But anyway, we'll open our curtains. I'll just close them because of the glare on my glasses. Look who's turned up. This is our view off our balcony.
Well, if you just point there now without going any further, you think, well, that's not too bad, is it? But then unfortunately, as you get a bit further, you get that blooming great big thing parked in your way. You can just see the bridge just behind there. Yeah. But of course we had a clear view all the way through. Yeah.
And that's Azamara.
Yes.
So Azamara's turned up. So we're not very happy about that. But anyway, we're going to go up to deck 10 and get our spot for our tripod for later. Isn't that right, Paul?
Yes, indeed.
Are you cleaning up?
Just doing a bit of folding while I was here. Forgot we were still videoing. Yeah, I was working, man. That's the thing. I was working.
Right then, party time, Paulie Morgan.
Yeah, let's go. Let's put 2022 to bed and start a brand new adventure.
You're excited, aren't you? Because you're going to ring your dad and your...
I'm going to ring my dad.
And your little boy.
And my little boy. And I'm going to say, I'm ringing you from the future.
Yes.
Because it'll be a different day, a different month, and a different year.
Yes.
Probably none of them will answer the phone.
Right then, let's go. Right then. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, yes.
Well, we've had a fantastic New Year with Azamara, haven't we, Paulie?
We have indeed.
We've been docked in White Bay, which we knew was going to be quite away from the Harbour Bridge, and we made a decision to stay on board, which we were both really happy with doing because the White Night was, again, such great fun. We can't say enough good stuff about the staff on here, actually, apart from, obviously, our issues. But everywhere else, they're just fabulous, aren't they?
They are. They're incredibly friendly. I'd say it's that up. The last stick was hurt to my face. Staff are fantastic. Nothing's too much trouble.
Another great buffet, wasn't it?
Buffet. My favourite chef made me some lamb chops this time, and they were blooming delicious.
Yeah, he's such a lovely guy, isn't he? From the patio, he's made Paul's the best steaks, hasn't he?
Yes.
It wasn't packed. A lot of people decided to get off. We decided to stay on board. However, if you are cruising with Azamara and you are docked in White Bay, be aware that you're not close to the fireworks. You can't see you can see the bridge, but you can't see the opera house. So we had fireworks going off all around us, which was amazing. But if you want to see the bridge and all the detail, then we would suggest that even if you're cruising here on New Year, then you need to go into town. We feel we've made the right decision for us, and we had a brilliant night. However, for some you might be disappointed because you were quite a way out.
Yeah. Right then, this is Paul from Paul and Carol Loves to Travel reporting to you live from Sydney, Australia, where we're going to be one of the first countries in the world to welcome in 2023.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and all lang syne? For all lang syne, my dear, for all lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for all lang syne. A cup of kindness yet for all lang syne. For all lang syne, my dear, for all lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for all lang syne.
But back to it, it's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster for me, isn't it? Paul kept looking at me and I get tear up because it's been hard. Been away from home.
People must look at Carol, then look at me and say, oh, he's a Blimey, he must treat her terribly. Every time I look at her, she's crying.
No, I've had a wonderful time, honestly, but it was a bit...
You could tell by this.
Well, we just actually, because we had such a great New Year, we got up this morning and we've been titivated in the cabin before we go back out and explore in Sydney. And we've just watched the London fireworks, haven't we? Because it's midnight there. And that even got me going.
I must say.
Yeah, well, I think it was recapping over the year and the Queen and everything, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oops, off again. Dear, what am I like? Right then. So we've had a fabulous day exploring Sydney, haven't we?
We have.
An awesome city.
We've walked our legs to little tiny nubs. They're worn away.
So as we've said before, we're in White Bay.
I'm in White Bay. I don't know where Carol is, but...
And there's a free shuttle that Azamara put on for us to get into town, which takes about, would you say, 15, 20 minutes?
15, 20 minutes.
Depending on traffic.
And it drops you about 20 yards from the steps that go down into...
Darling Harbour.
Yes.
Which is one of the spots we wanted to go to see anyway. We had a good mooch around there. Lovely area. Lots of... it's New Year's Day and people are... It's busy. It's mega busy. And people are still partying, aren't they?
We were worried that it would be all dead as a door now. We might not be able to get a taxi back if we wanted to stay in town. Would anything be open? When we walked down into the harbour, it was like there was like 10 gajillion billion people, especially ladies, walking around
with very little on,
like it was 11 o'clock at night and they were going clubbing.
Yes.
We walked about 7 miles in the wrong direction to ask about a ferry we needed.
Yeah,
it was right where we'd walked down the steps in the first place.
It was. We wanted to go to Circular Quay because to have a look around that area as well as look around the Darling Harbour area. But we did have a good walk, didn't we? There's lots of bars and restaurants. You'll never go hungry, will you, in Sydney? We found out that the ferry that we needed to get to Circular Quay was right down the end on Pier 1, wasn't it?
Yes.
Now, Sydney is a very, very easy to navigate from the water. So if you're worried about thinking, how am I going to get around Sydney? We found today that the easiest way is to just sort of ferry hop.
Yes.
And guess how much the ferry was from Darling Harbour to Circular Quay?
£75. What a rip-off.
58p.
59.
Oh, 59. 59 pence.
Which is $1, an Australian dollar.
Which is mad, isn't it? Because you get on in Darling Harbour, or the place was called, I had to write this down because we kept Barangaroo stop, and you get on the ferry and it goes right past the Opera House. You go under the Harbour Bridge, past the Opera House, and you dock up in Circle Quay, isn't it? Which is perfect. And it took about 7 minutes.
It's bananas because it's everything that you like with the sites you want to see. You want to go under the bridge, you want to see the Opera House. There's another place, what was that place with the big funny face on, what was that called? Lunar Quay.
Luna Park.
Luna Park. All those places are iconic. And you think, well, how am I going to get to see them? Well, I can tell you how. You can spend 59 pence and 10 minutes of your time.
It's amazing, the entrance into there.
You have to walk through like this giant head. You have to walk through his mouth to get into the park.
So that was so even if you don't want to do anything in Sydney, just get on the ferries and just hop. Because all the sites are there, and it was great. It's so cheap, which surprised us because Sydney's renowned to being expensive. Now, the reason I wanted to go to Circular Quay was to have a good look around, obviously, but also that's where most cruise ships dock in Sydney, and it's right in the centre of Circular Quay, so you're opposite the Sydney Opera House and the Harbour Bridge. Obviously we're in White Bay because we're here over New Year, but if I came back to Sydney again, I would definitely pick a cruise that was docking at the cruise passenger terminal, which we had a good walk around. There's lots of eateries there. It's basically the Rock. I don't know if you've heard of the Rock. Welcome. What are you going to say that, Lee? He's been saying this all day.
I haven't said it with Jack Swan. Welcome to the Rock.
Yes. We were getting quite hungry by then because we'd walked from the front of the waterfront through the back to see if we could find food. We did have a lovely walk around the rocks. There was the Orient. We'd been told about the Orient Hotel that had fab food, so we looked across the road and there it was. We thought, oh, brilliant, but couldn't get a table. It was so busy, wasn't it? We walked further up the road and we found the Rib and Burger. Paul's eyes lit up. Ribs and Burger.
Ribs and Burgers. I thought, well, it's got all the food groups covered. It's got ribs and burgers.
Yes. So we went in there.
We did. Ribs and Burger restaurant definitely didn't disappoint. We had ribs, salad and chips and a milkshake each, and it was £54. After some more exploring, we headed back to Darling Harbour on the ferry and then made our way back to the ship. After spending New Year's Day exploring Sydney on our own, our last day in Sydney would be spent with some of our fabulous subscribers who'd very generously offered to pick us up and take us out.
Right then, so we're back in our cabin. It's 1:30. We just made it. Sail away at 2 o'clock, but we've had the most fantastic morning, and we just want to say a big thank you to Suzanne and Dennis, who took us out first thing, dragged Paulie Morgan out of bed at 8 o'clock this morning. Well, before that, 7 o'clock.
I had to get up at 7 o'clock, and I don't regret 1 second of it because we had a fabulous
We
time.
have. We started off the morning with Suzanne and Dennis taking us out. We drove past Bondi Beach, hadn't we, on the coach, but we wanted to actually get out and have a walk around and see it, and so they took us there for the first stop, which was lovely. It was 8:30 by then, wasn't it? And there was people swimming. It was not packed, because apparently later in the day it gets packed, but they've got an amazing swimming club to the right hand side, as you'll see here, where everyone was just swimming. I just thought, do you know, if I lived here, that would motivate me to swim.
And when Carol said that, I had a little laugh to myself, because I've heard all that before.
But it's called Icebreakers because
it's not. It's called the Iceberg Club.
That's it.
And the reason it's called the Iceberg Club is you have to swim there all year round, and just to make you feel at home when it's winter time, because the water doesn't get cold enough because it's seawater, they put ice in it.
Yes.
To make it more iceberg.
Yes. So, but there we are. So it was great to see Bondi Beach, which was brilliant. So thank you for that. And then they took us to Fish Market. Well, we do love a smelly market, don't we, Paulie? And it was great. Just
and scarily, yes, we do. And I must admit, it was fascinating because we saw creatures of the deep that I'd never seen before. And I've been to some clubs.
And then they took us to their home, which is in the Balmain area, a fabulous part of Sydney, and one of the oldest parts of Sydney. It had a really nice village vibe, didn't it? It was lovely. And they took us to their lovely house, which is a lovely 3-story townhouse that has views over to Cockatoo Island.
Cockatoo Island,
beautiful. Yes. And we just sat, and do you know, the most thing is we get a little bit nervous when we're meeting people that have asked to meet us, because we think, oh, will we have enough in common? Well, we just sat there and laughed and talked, and they were asking us, well, we want to get some advice from you, but actually they were far more travelled than we were. Yeah. So we had some great tips from them too. So thank you so much, guys, for your hospitality. And I had a Vegemite cake bun thing with butter, and it was delicious. But I love Marmite.
And I didn't.
No.
I had a ham one, which was delicious.
Yeah. So thank you, guys. It's just amazing. And then we had to cut our time short with them, because we'd also promised, before the captain changed the time, that we were leaving 2 hours early, that we were meeting a lady called Marnie. And Marnie picked us up. They dropped us off. We waited 2 minutes later. Marnie picked us up and took us to a fabulous pub literally round the corner from here. Right then.
Right, this is the lovely Marnie. Right then, yes.
Yeah, right then.
This is the lovely Marnie. She's picked us up from the port and she's brought us to the best pub in the world.
Look what we found.
30 days I've been waiting. 30 days, and finally we have Thatcher's Gold.
Woo!
Oh, it's even better than I remembered it.
And thanks to this lovely lady here, Marnie.
Marnie.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you, lovely Marnie.
Yeah.
And she's bought us some lovely presents. So she's bought me some cider to take back on the ship, and we've got a mystery gift
Wow,
here.
we've got a card. So we'll open the card first. You always put it too low. Sunblocks and sunnies, that's all you need. We haven't seen a duckbill platypus either, have we?
No.
Well, we have now. Oh, look, I think for each week's turn, we really appreciate all the videos you have made for us.
Sorry, that's alright.
You should be doing the camera. Oh, look, isn't that lovely? Oh, thank you,
Rachel
Marnie.
in say.
No, it's been so brilliant, hasn't it, meeting?
Yes, it has,
We've met so many lovely people, so that's awesome. Oh, and then we've got a present, look. And Marnie's even done us a, look at that. Paul and Carol love to travel.
That could
Very
be our new,
artistic. Did
could
you
be our
draw
new
that
logo.
Ah, so what's in here?
Is it a football?
Is it a football? It's come out. That's it.
I'm concentrating on the present, not you.
No,
It's
I
not all
know.
about you.
Look at this. What on earth could it be?
Well, if you open it, we'll find out.
I know. Tim Tam. Oh my God. Do you know, we were only talking before we came away. Someone said.
Oh, we know somebody. We got an Aussie friend who lives in Britain. He's a blogger as well. And he said, you've got to try Tim Tams. And I've gone right out of my head till now.
Oh, look at this.
That's
Australian slang. We've learned some.
We're going to learn a lot more by the looks of it.
Oh, this is amazing. We've got Sydney Opera. Oh,
That's
that's lovely.
this year's the 50th anniversary.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah. Did you get to go and see it?
We went to the outside. We didn't have time to tour it, but yeah, as soon as we
There was 3 or 4 people got there before us.
It was packed. Everywhere was packed, and yeah. When we sailed in, that first view of the opera house, I got really emotional. It was like, oh my God. Yeah. I've been a bit of an emotional wreck this whole, I can't get this out.
We do too. Even when we fly back home from somewhere, we just see it coming over and we go, oh, we're home. Oh.
Oh, I broke it.
Just rip it, don't worry.
Got a new calendar, honey. We've got donkey calendar at home. Got 2 days.
Well, it's run out now,
You're probably never going to be home to look at it.
Oh, thank you, Marnie. That's
You're
really
welcome,
kind.
sweetheart.
Isn't that lovely?
There's some lovely gifts there for Carol.
Yes.
And there's some lovely gifts for me.
Oh, how exciting.
Oh,
Oh,
you've got
that's
a nice
brilliant.
little bag you can pop it in.
Sydney Opera House bag.
It just gets better all the
It gets
time.
better. Thatcher's golden presents, Paulie. What a fabulous end to our trip to Sydney.
If you'd have just took me back to the ship out of the Thatcher's Gold, I'd have been happy enough. But
And then Marnie insisted on buying some food. I had the best spicy chicken wings, and you had fish and chips for a change. But we sat with my lovely lady. Thank you, Marnie, for meeting us.
She was hilarious.
She was mad as a box of frogs, and she won't mind us saying that because we laughed so much. Followed our channels for a long time, and if your son's watching, hi Chris from Paul and Carol. It was just lovely. Really oldie worldy pub. Thoroughly recommend it. Great service. We got chatting to the people next door. That's what we've loved about the next table.
They weren't next door.
No, but everywhere you go in Australia, people are like, "Good day," and "How you doing?" and just chatty. And you do get that sometimes in England, but not so much, do you? So how amazing is that? That's just so thoughtful. So thank you so much, Marnie. It was a pleasure meeting you. I hope our paths cross again, like with Suzanne Dennis. We've had the best morning ever. We do not want to leave Sydney. It's a fantastic city. We haven't seen enough, have we? We're not ready to leave, but we've got no choice. Otherwise, we'll miss the ship and we won't get to Melbourne, where we've got lots of other meets arranged too. So that's been one of my favourite parts, isn't it? Meeting all these fantastic people. We got to get dressed. Let's get our deck clothes on. Our deck clothes, because it's sail away, and we've got to be outside to watch the set. Because the sailing to Sydney was just amazing. So we've got to go and watch the sail out. So we've just been to the shop. We had how much was it, Paul?
$179 worth of on-board credit left.
So we thought, let's go and spend it. So we've come away with some exciting things. Some batteries, some Estee Lauder face cream to keep this looking at it does. Paulie's got some new earbuds. And he's also got his favourite Paco Rabanne, 2 of them to keep him going. And I bought we're planning on getting to the gym when we get back and working out, so I bought myself a little Azamara t-shirt for the gym. So that's all cool, isn't it? And the total was, we were pretty spot on, weren't we, Paulie? $178.99. 96. Ooh, so we've still got a few cents left there.
We've got about 75 cents left to spend.
So onboard credit can be spent in the spa. It can be spent in the photo shop, or it can be spent in the, obviously, gift shops and jewellery shops, but you cannot take it off the ship. So make sure, if you've got any gratuities, you can't carry them over to another cruise.
Gratuities, onboard credits.
Onboard credits, sorry. You can't take them over to your next cruise, and as soon as you leave the ship, that goes to zero. So buy stuff, even if you don't want it yourself, buy someone a gift.
Yes, and what you also can't use it for, you can't use it as onboard as a tip. So say you go to a specialty restaurant, you can use your onboard credit for a specialty restaurant.
That's right.
But when you sign for the meal at the end of it, it'll have on there, do you want to leave a tip? Well,
Exactly
if you leave a tip, you can't use your onboard credit for that. That has to come out your own pocket.
Yeah. So do make sure you read the programme to find out on that particular ship you're on what it does cover. It doesn't cover everything. So and
as you may have seen on a previous video, we used onboard credit to play the casinos.
Yes.
Now, when we put the video out, we had lots of people say to us, well, you can't do that on this line and you can't do that on that line.
But you still can on some.
But you still can on some, so you might be able to use that as an option. There's no casino on Azamara, so it's definitely not an option.
Not on this ship.
No.
Yeah.
No, there's not. I don't think there's a casino on any of them.
They did have some in the lounges, but the other ships may have, but Azamara Quest doesn't have one.
There you go.
And you can also spend it on excursions, which we've done. So we're happy that we've spent it all now. It's our last day on board, so we're going to get packed. We fill one suitcase and we push one off, don't we?
Yes.
So, yes. So it's sad. We've been on there 25 days and it still doesn't feel like it's been that long. We've had a fabulous time. We've had some ups and downs, as you'll see in our vlog series. But overall, we've had a great time, haven't we, with Azamara? Right then,
it's almost the last post of the cruise.
It is, sadly. Mixed feelings, really, about getting off. Because it's been so wobbly, I'm looking forward to a bit of dry land, but we're going to be missing a lot of passengers and a lot of staff on the ship, aren't we? Because they've been absolutely fabulous.
Yes.
So it's our last sea day. We've just been chilling in the cabin. Paul watched the end of Ant-Man.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. And we're heading back now to Melbourne. So we've been up to Sydney and back past Eden and back to Melbourne. Right then. Yeah. Polly Morgan's been naughty. Our last night on board, we thought, let's go steady. Paul's like, no, we've not got a flight to catch, or I've not got to drive. We've got 5 days in Melbourne to recover. So instead of being sensible like me and stopped drinking about 10:30 and went on the water, Paulie had a bit of a Maker's Mark frenzy, didn't you? And it's been a painful procedure packing this morning with Burpy Grumpy one. Ah, what have you got to say for yourself?
Shut up.
We had a fab last night on board. Went to see the show, which was Brit Rocks, which we thought was excellent.
Yes, great show.
Yeah, really good show. Then we had some time in the den where we caught up all with all the passengers and friends that we've made along the way, and also with the lovely staff, isn't it? Ruby, Mark, and Mamadeo, and everyone else, and Daniel. Too many lovely staff to mention, aren't there, really, Paulie?
Well, you've mentioned 4 of them, now you've got to do them all.
No, I can't.
There's Joanne.
Yeah, we can. And I'm sorry if we've missed anyone out, because I don't want you to be offended, because we've thought your service on board with the bars and dining has been superb. We're up early. It's 8 o'clock. We've got to get off now. We're going to head to the Crown Plaza for our next land-based part of our Australia trip, where we're going to obviously be spending 5 days in Melbourne. I think Paulie, as soon as we get into our room, Paulie might need a bit of a lie down, mightn't you?
Yeah, I've got my day all planned out. It's called 9 nights bed night time.
Oh dear. But let me show you who's joined us. Look at this. So we're in Melbourne and the weather has dropped considerably to about 15, 16 degrees because it was really warm yesterday. Let me just check that. And look, we've got Celebrity Eclipse has joined us here. She was in Sydney with us the other day at Circular Quay. We were out at White Bay. So there we are. So I've got to get this... oh dear, I've got to drag him off the bed again. Come on, Morgie.
I don't want to go to school today, Mummy.
Oh, so there we are. So that's the end of our Azamara cruise. But carry on following us and come and watch the next episode because we can show you all around Melbourne. Isn't that right, Paulie?
I don't know what she said, but yes, that's right.
So we'll catch you later.
Bye.